Welcome to People Doing Good for Others, where you celebrate and praise and hold in the light individuals who are truly making significant differences in our communities. I'm Gary York, and I'm grateful to be here today. We want to thank Wilkes Communications and RiverStreet Productions and 100.9 WIFM for this opportunity. And our featured guest today is Ms. Amanda Perry. She's Director of Sales and Marketing for the wonderful company that's responsible for these shows, and we're grateful for that. She's a veteran of 10 years with the company. She plays a key significant leadership role, and she's also a tremendous Wilkes County advocate. And we're grateful that she's here, and good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning, how are you today?
Great. Let's start with Wilkes Communications and its vision and its role in this region, and what a significant role it plays in making things better.
Okay. Well, one of the big things about Wilkes Communications that some people don't realize is that we're actually a cooperative. So back in 1951, when it all started, it was just a group of local people who saw a need and banded together. So anyone in our core area is actually a member of the company, and they come to annual meetings and all that, and have the ability to vote and make decisions on their behalf. But what that means is there's 7 principles that we're built off, and one of the biggest ones is actually giving back to the community and being advocates for our members and doing good for them. So yes, while bottom line is important and being sustainable, it's all about what can we give back to the members that make it possible. So we're very large contributors to a lot of organizations, serve a lot of volunteer time on boards and helping out with activities in the county, fundraisers, and just all kinds of different stuff to make sure that what our members do for us, we give back. So.
Ms. Perry, that vision, and I noticed for the first time this morning as I was prepping here, we had Trust Local Excellence is under our brand.
Yes.
Share that significant. I was just, wow, I love that.
So the interesting thing about that little tagline, Trust Local Excellence, is it can be read two ways. You can read it as a sentence. We're making a statement, Trust Local Excellence. But then you can also read it as individual statements. So trust, we are a trustworthy company, and we certainly have our members' best interests at heart. Local meaning that we're here, we'll continue to be here, and we'll continue to support local organizations. And then excellence, our mission statement is to add value to the lives of our members. And how else can we do that if we're not excellent at what we do and what we try to put out there for everyone? So it has a pretty deep meaning when you look at it both ways.
Powerful.
Yes.
And kind of marching orders, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Everybody has to live by it.
Yeah. Ms. Perry, also you came here 10 years ago, and you were drawn here. Just tell us how that happened.
So I am actually not a native of North Carolina. I grew up in Maryland and moved down here in 2006. The next year I started actually working at Wilkes Communications. It was one of those situations where I was looking for a place to use my skills, and an opening that was actually available here. I remember coming in for the interview and being really nervous because you hear great things about this company, and the employees just rave about it and everything that they do. And I remember not hearing anything for a couple of days, and then calling in and speaking to the person that did the interview, and I was like, "Hey, have y'all made a decision?" And they were like, "Well, give us a little while and we'll call you back." And when I got that call back, I couldn't have been more excited. Came in, and everyone was great to work with, and when companies talk about being family oriented and you're part of the team and we treat you that way, this was the first place I've worked that really stands by that. And 10 years later, that's still the way we work. You are part of the family when you're here, and your family is part of that family. So it's a great big reach.
Amanda Perry, your first role was as a representative, a customer service rep.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
So customer service representatives, what they were back then, they're now sales and support reps. So essentially customers or members that call in or come into the office, because we do have the front office available for people to actually come and sit with you. So you deal with the members, their service requests, their billing questions. You have the ones that come in every month just to sit and talk and just to have that interaction. Yeah, I mean, they come in to make a payment or do some kind of business transaction, but then they'll hang out for 20 minutes and just chat about what's happened since the last time they've been in. And it's about growing those relationships and knowing that while we are here to do a job for our members, we're here to be there for them, for more than just telephone service. So.
I saw children's books on the table there. Share that with us.
Okay, so we are very family oriented, as I mentioned before. And when members come in, sometimes they'll bring kids with them. So, we want to have stuff that they can occupy themselves with. But on top of that, those books are actually published and distributed to the local elementary schools. And we support that. So it's done by an outside source, and we contribute to that publication. So they bring us a couple to keep in the office for people that come in and visit.
Wow. So folks, a lot of customers still pay the bill by walking in the door.
Oh yeah, there's, we actually keep record of traffic as far as how many people come in for payments, and the number is pretty amazing. People think that everything's done online these days, and a big chunk of it is, but when you live in a rural place like Wilkes, that one-on-one interaction is really key to a lot of people, and having that chance to come in for a minute or two just to say hey is really a big deal to them.
Amanda Perry, tell us about your move up the ladder, if you will. You started as a rep, and some other stops that you've made, please.
So worked in customer service for several years, and in 2012 the company decided to do a billing conversion and upgrade the software so we could offer better service to the customers. And I at the time was working in sales, so outside sales, and I am not a very good extrovert. I like to sit back and crunch numbers and deal with issues and take care of situations, but so sales was not really that fun. So I was given a chance to work on some of the conversion stuff, and making stuff in our one system fit into the other one, and that kind of launched this growth here, and just being able to manage that task, and then was given the opportunity to actually manage customer service and help them learn the new system and evolve the way that they do stuff. And our transition in the last several years has been going from just customer service reps to actual sales agents. So when people call in looking for services, a lot of times they don't really know what they're after. And so it's those representatives' jobs to help that customer figure it out. What do you really need? Asking them the right questions. So that's been a huge transition, and being part of that has been a lot of fun, and it's been a challenge, but it's been very worth it to see the people that work in that department grow in their abilities. So.
Can you talk to me about training those an effective sales support person?
Sure.
What all goes into that?
Well, as a new employee, you job shadow for a couple of weeks, and then as you get more comfortable, the person that you were shadowing will start shadowing you just to make sure you're on the right path. So that process could last anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks, depending on what your comfort level is. And then we do have some outside organizations that come in and do some sales trainings for us, but we make sure that the organizations we use are specific to our industry, because there's a certain environment, I guess you could say, when it comes to communications, and a lot of times if the organization isn't specific to communications, some of the message is lost in translation because we're trying to sell a certain type of service. So we have outside people come in, you job shadow, and then it's constantly learning, because stuff is always changing in our industry. The same technology that's available today wasn't available 5, 10, 20 years ago. So you always have to learn.
There's a significant culture of almost can-do here. Mm-hmm. Smiles, people walking quickly, people always speaking to you. How do we do that? How do you get a culture of we're in this to make this community better? And that's a kind of a marching order. How do we do that?
So a lot of the times when there is a culture, as you say, it has to start at the top down. So a decision is made that this is the way we want to operate, and then it's pushed through the ranks, and everyone has to be bought into it. And how can you expect someone to buy into it if you don't behave that way yourself? So what better way to do it than by setting the example? So yes, walking down the hall and saying hey to anyone that you pass by that is there to talk with. Now I try not to interrupt someone if their back is turned and they're working on their computer, but you have to be able to be open to that and receptive to other people stopping you to talk and about their grandkid and what crazy antics they did last night or something like that. But I mean, I can't expect my group of people that I'm responsible for to behave that way and present that to members or outside people that they are in contact with if I don't do that same thing. And that goes for all of the supervisors and management team. You ask any one of them and they'll probably tell you the same type
folks
thing.
in your group, Amanda Perry, it's kind of an overview of the responsibility of those people.
Sure. So customer service, of course. We currently have 2 retail locations in Wilkes County, which are fully staffed, so you can go visit either one of those. And then the business sales team, so they're the ones out knocking on commercial offices, trying to promote our service and make the sale. And then once we have it, visiting them, periodically just to check on them, see how they're doing. So it's not sell it and done, it's continue that relationship, see if there's anything else we can do. And then with where we're sitting today, the marketing staff, so we have the portion of it that does the graphic design, web stuff, social media, and then we have the studio part, which is one of the newest additions to Wilkes Communications and probably one of the most exciting things we've done recently. But there's, the group that does the cameras and the editing and puts it up on the local channel. So channel
Our
815.
team
Oh yeah, the group here, good group of people. And it's been several years in the making, and we're really proud of it. And when the decision was made to bring the studio to Wilkes, not just Wilkes Communications, but Wilkes County, it was brought to our board. Our CEO worked.
Just stop right there one minute. Tell us about Eric Kramer.
So Eric Kramer, he is our CEO.
Let's talk about him.
He's a really good guy. He is also from Maryland, but don't tell anyone I told you that. So he moved down here several years before I did, though. But and we did not know each other in Maryland. We lived in separate towns. But he is a visionary. He has big dreams, and he will come to his team and say, "This is what I want. Make it happen." And so he trusts his teams enough to be able to make that
Great
stuff work.
delegator.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we, there's several things, growth outside of Wilkes because of sustainability and, being able to have a project that adds value to those members, going back to the mission statement. And this studio is one of the big ones.
All right. Do you remember that moment that the TV, let me back up a minute.
Sure.
I walked in that door right there in December of 2015 in awe.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and I'm so grateful that I was, able to be a part of this. Let's go back to when someone said we're going to have a TV station.
So we have the TV product that we offer, and our board's vision has always been to promote Wilkes County and have our own local station that talks about the stuff that we do. So Eric, came up with this plan. Well, let's make this happen. So where we're sitting and this show is filmed actually used to be our warehouse. So there would be equipment and everything else stored in here. It was a several-year process to get everything moved and built. But it was a really big deal because Eric wanted to, and the board and all of the staff wanted to make sure that what we did wasn't just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of the members and Wilkes County as a whole. And I think one of the ways he's termed it is that it's a gift to Wilkes County.
Right.
and to promote what we have here to offer. Because when you come from really urban or metro type areas, you kind of come here and may think, well, there's not much going on, but in reality, there's a lot. And using this as a tool to tell that story and to promote it and push it out there.
Leadership Wilkes is going to be here in a few minutes.
Yeah, if they're not here already.
Give us some idea of just that specific, that's a gift. They are here to see the great things that Wilkes Communications and RiverStreet's doing.
Yeah, so Leadership Wilkes is actually a program that the Chamber of Commerce puts on, and they do anywhere from 10 up to, I think this class is one of the largest, 20-some students, and it's other leaders in the community that participate on Wednesdays, and they go around and tour facilities at the county. And so Linda reached out and said, hey, we've got the group ready this year. When can we come? And I said, okay, well, we'll have to get Adam to give the tour. And he's actually in the class this year, so he's going to be student and teacher.
Adam Foster.
Yeah, Adam Foster. And he was actually the guy that made this studio happen. So he came from High Point with a background in video production, and kind of led the way as far as what we needed and how it needed to be built and what equipment to get. And so this is his baby.
Adam and helpers.
Oh yeah.
But wow, just a person straight out of college was delegated this incredible success.
Oh yeah. And he's, when you talk with him about it, he's very proud of it. But he's a really good guy, and we're really blessed to have him.
Right. Let's go back to make sure we share, if you will,
sure,
the tremendous service that can come because we have this. Tell us about those who benefit from TV.
Okay. So one of the first ones that come to mind is Communities in Schools. So they are an organization in Wilkes County who have grown outside of the county. They've been so successful in their mission. But Tiger from Communities in Schools comes over and brings students from the program, and they actually hold a cooking show in our kitchen here.
Tiger Posey.
And
wow.
So it's interactive for the kids. They get a chance to learn something new. And then at the end of the show, whatever they've made for that day, they actually get to take home with them. So most of the kids that participate in Communities in Schools struggle one way or another at home or in school. And so to be able to give them that moment of pure joy of being able to have something new to talk about with their students or family, and then be able to take that home is really it's pretty amazing. And to know that we get to be a part of that and push that message out for them on our channel and through social media and sharing it back with Communities in Schools. The reach is bigger than we could have ever imagined with it.
How does it get out there? Tell us the opportunities that the folks who watch us can enjoy this TV.
So if you are a customer of Wilkes and have the TV service, it's on channel 815, so you can view it there. It's also, clips are put up on the YouTube channel, so the RiverStreet Productions YouTube channel, social media posts, Facebook, all those. And then, and if you want more or would like records of it, we're more than happy to make DVDs of it for you so that you can pick it up and actually keep a copy. So.
How many customers, Wilkes Communications, just kind of an overview?
Sure. Our membership is a little bit over 8,000 members, and then we also have a competitive arm of that company that probably serves another 1,500 or so in Wilkes County. And then of those customers, we have about 2,800 on the actual TV service. So that channel reaches 2,800 homes. So that's, that may not seem in comparison to how big Wilkes County is, but when you talk about that and then their word of mouth and then what reach we get online, it's a pretty big arm as far as how far it can go.
Tell us about the advertising you do for others.
So we offer services out to organizations in the area, companies, nonprofits, to allow them the opportunity to come in and do some stuff with us, make little ads for them. or with the nonprofits, we'll actually create video clips for them. Two of the ones that we do regularly are the United Way Great State Hero event and then the Wilkes County Hall of Fame. So they nominees or finalists for those actually come in and we conduct those interviews and put those videos together. So it's promoting their growth, their success. So the Hall of Fame supports the school system, and then they write school organizations in the school will write grants for the funds raised from the Hall of Fame. And then the United Way event is the campaign kickoff for them. So it's a good way to put the story out there as far as what United Way does and the volunteers that are part of that and what kind of impact they have.
Amanda Perry, in your community advocacy, you are significantly involved in a lot of different things. Say United Way, what do you believe about it? You have you're just a natural. I see you in a lot of different arenas. Just talk about why is it important for not only Wilkes Communications, but you as a person, to be involved, to matter in significant ways?
Well, from the Wilkes Communications standpoint, we're blessed enough that we're allowed to be able to volunteer some of our time and help out these initiatives. And when I was given that opportunity, I would not have felt right if I didn't take it. Now there are some things that pull on my heartstrings so much that I have to work at it from the backside, because it's just very emotional when you talk about the need of Wilkes County, the children and the adults and the suffering and the hardships that they have. But United Way really hits home for me because growing up, I had a large family. I'm the second oldest of 5. So pretty big numbers when you talk about feeding 5 kids and everything. So growing up was tough, and I remember, some of the help that we got. And this is, not even around here.
Do you really? Oh,
and,
wow.
My parents, they did the best that they could. And we had a pretty good childhood, but still seeing them struggle and the help that they got, and I have to pay that forward.
A lot of love.
Oh yeah, I would not be doing any of it justice if I just sat back and said, yes, I got help once, but I'm okay now. So I have to do my part. But seeing the students at schools who come to school hungry, or the adults in the county who can't read, or the adults with special needs that want to feel needed. You talk about organizations like ADAP and Communities in Schools and the Ruby Purdue Daycare Center. These are all parts of the United Way. They're partner agencies. So when United Way goes out to raise funds, it's not for money to pay power bills and that's it. It's money to support the agencies that come across all the needs of the county. So you're talking crisis intervention, educational advancement, health improvement, and one of the big things that we have started to recognize with the new program with the Great State Hero event is those young kids. That
now, I also mentioned that this was an event held last Tuesday night, and that 240 people, and we just kind of walk through that ceremony, if you will, and a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes.
Oh gosh,
as you say.
There's a lot that goes on, but so the event is held the Tuesday after Labor Day. This was our 3rd year for it at United Way, and what the initiative behind it is to raise awareness of the people who do good and don't necessarily get the recognition that you might think they deserve. So it's volunteers, people who spend their time, have spent their life giving back, making a difference. So essentially the evening is you come in and you have dinner, a really nice dinner, and then the program starts. We try to have a guest speaker.
Brushy Mountain Smokehouse.
Oh yeah, Brushy Mountain. Oh my gosh,
meal.
it was very good.
Wasn't it good?
It was good. And they've done it every year for us, and you can ask for a better dinner. And for the price of the ticket, you can go spend that somewhere else in the county at dinner, but why not come support United Way?
Yes.
But So you have dinner and then the program starts. The guest speaker that we try to bring in, we try to talk about or have someone who has been a giver, who has done supportive things, has made a difference or an impact. This last year was Chris Swecker, and he was a former FBI assistant director and was involved in 9/11 and Iraq and all that. So he had a very powerful message. We talk about what United Way does and the agencies that it reaches. And then we recognize 12 people, so 12 people total, across all of those areas that have made a difference, whether it be sitting in the back making things happen, or actually sitting with the people who need the help, teaching them the life lessons that they need.
Volunteering at the Ruby Blackburn Center.
Yeah.
Right?
Or senior companions, or, those were the type of people that we had today, or this year, rather. But, recognizing them. And then each one of those areas has a finalist, and they're selected through a voting process, and they actually get to give $1,000 of their choice to a 501c3. So a lot of them will give back to the one that they support. But to reward them for doing their best, and it's not even something that they think about most of the times. It's just something that they do.
And we recognized Rick Stegall for his years of raising money, and our new CEO is with us now. And I thought his question or his answer about why I chose to go from banking to here, and it was his daughter had influenced, and that was such a powerful. Yeah.
Rick had served 10 years as executive director, and so at the event we introduced Chris Pardue as the new director. And so this year's event was especially interesting because on top of having to plan the event, we had to find a new director. But there's a committee from United Way that puts the event together, goes out and raises the funds for sponsorships, and works really hard to get people to nominate. You wouldn't think it'd be so hard, but getting people to recognize someone else is kind of a challenge sometimes.
Yeah.
And then we have people outside of the United Way that actually read through the nominations and score them for us. So it's completely, fair in the way that it's managed as far as who the finalists are. And then, we just make sure.
Briefly, your skill to bring all that, to be the behind-the-scenes person. Tell us, you just have a gift.
Well, I don't know if it's so much a gift or a curse, but I'm very organized, very attention to detail, yeah. You wouldn't know it to look at my desk right now, but I have a very systematic approach to things, and if something needs structure, I am great to figure out what that structure needs to be. So one of the big things was implementing a almost procedure policy or process for United Way for this event, and that was kind of where my role in it all started. And then for the last 2 years, I've been chair of that committee. So just making sure everybody does their part.
The Great State Heroes of 2017.
Yeah.
Wow. Amanda, before we come to the end,
Sure.
Talk about the scholarships that Wilkes Communications since 2002 has been gifting to this community.
So in 2002, the board, which is made up of 8 members of the cooperative, 2 from each of our exchanges, decided that we needed to make a direct contribution to our youth in hopes that they would go to school and gain some knowledge and then come back home and use it and kind of start that cycle of growing and supporting the county. And so, the scholarship program was born, and since its beginning now 15 years ago, we have actually contributed over $200,000 in scholarships.
And tell us as we end how the opportunity that you seized brought you great happiness and the opportunities to give, to share, and to care.
So prior to this, I worked in banking, and you kind of feel a sense of helpfulness when you're helping people make decisions about their financial stability. But then coming here and knowing that you are making a direct impact to one individual, 10 individuals, a whole county, it's a completely different type of feeling. You know, I have kids, and